Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. So we're still reviewing the front pages. We're in the Punch.
Yes, so service chiefs at all military base, and according to the Punch, the Chief of Air Staff, the Air Marshal Hassan Abubakar, has been touring strategic locations around Zamfara, Kano, Katsina since the beginning of the week. Also, they're visiting all military bases in the northeast and northwest to assess the situation on ground, following all the recent attacks that happened in Borno, Yobe, and Zamfara State. So, apart from the service chief, the Chief of Defense Staff also met with stakeholders and military commanders and frontline troops to address the security breaches that happened recently. And he attributed that to the resurgence of Boko Haram attack in Borno, saying that the instability in the Sahel countries, Mali, Chad, and Niger are the reasons why. He has said that before. What are we going to do according to how Miriam has addressed it the last time?
They're asking us, we're asking them.
So he says that they are taking action to address it and that they have new PSR commanders, commander that will be assigned, and other commanders that are already redeployed to these areas, and that they're buying new equipment to be brought into the theater. And I'm wondering, how is this supposed to boost the morale of our troops already on ground? What exactly are we doing? And when we do find them, since they are not Nigerians, please, why should we be bargaining forgiveness and rehabilitation? And what is that other word? Amnesty for people like this. They are not Nigerians. We need to make an example of them. So we push them back. Can we do that? Push them back to the areas. This is tougher in Burkina Faso and other African countries now. They can't come here. You know, they shouldn't be anywhere.
We shouldn't even be carrying the financial burden of taking care of them while awaiting justice in whatever form. So, who has the story of baby being sold? Or
Yes, I do. Now, they said the operatives of the State Criminal Investigation Department of Lagos State Police Command have arrested at least 5 suspects in connection with the abduction and sale of a 2-week-old baby boy. Now, according to the statement, the State Criminal Investigation Department of the Lagos State Police Command actually said they're trying to see other people that were involved in this particular case. Now, they said the case was initially reported at Ajah Police Division on May 5th, 2025 by a man who raised concern over the disappearance of his cousin, 16-year-old cousin named Happiness. Now, he told the police that the teenager had been impregnated by an unknown person and due to financial hardship was handed over to a particular woman called Nonye Osi for shelter during the pregnancy. However, this woman, Nonye Osi, conspired with others to relocate Miss Happiness to an unknown location. They gave you somebody. You now relocated the person to an unknown location where she eventually, the girl eventually gave birth, and then they sold the baby. Now, going down, because lots of issues happen in between, they said the suspects, they allegedly conspired to sell this baby for 3 million naira. Thankfully, they've been able to find this baby. They found the baby at Agemuwo. Am I pronouncing this way? Agemuwo in Badagry area of Lagos.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, that's where they found the child.
There's a lot of baby sale going on in this country.
Yes.
That because adoption is almost impossible to do. Adoption is, and we have created an industry, so we need to get to the root of make it easier for people to create a fostering system. We don't have fostering system officially.
We don't have social services.
We don't have social services. Those are the problems.
Children maltreat children.
Yes, so
and you need a full
system
to do that. So there's somebody that you don't just give a child to a foster parent or an adoptive parent.
It takes too long.
You must follow up through the years with the child. Which system we have?
As well. All right. So
yes, I have the House of Reps. They said on Thursday they were divided over a bill seeking to amend the Electoral Act 2022 to make voting compulsory for all Nigerians of voting age in national and state elections. The bill has passed second reading. They said that the bill proposes penalties for eligible voters who fail to vote without valid justification, including a fine of 100,000 naira, a 6-month jail term, or both. So if you don't vote, what they are pushing is that if you don't vote and you're of age, 100,000 naira fine, or 6-month jail term, or both, if you have no justification. So the leading debate on general principles of the bill, Daniel Osama, who is a representative from Plateau State, argued that the heart of democracy lies in citizen participation. Democracy thrives when people are actively involved in choosing their leaders and shaping governance. Vote is not only a right, but a civic responsibility. And in many democracies across the world, it is treated as such. And so this bill is proposing to make, proposing to introduce mandatory voting for all Nigerians of voting age in general elections, both national and at state levels. When this first came out, we had a lot of public outrage. National Association of Nigerian Students were threatening mass protests and, you know, in opposition. But it seems that it's gaining grounds and looks like
some people for religious purposes do not vote. Yeah. So, and I think that as much as
we would allow for limited and justified exemptions where necessary.
Anyway, let's move on to Daily Sun. Major headline: elections, rep approved bill for mandatory voting, which is what Mariam just took. In other news, mass failure, NOA calls for further action on UTME error, hails JAM's transparency, and reps begins investigation. ECOWAS court order Nigeria to release man detained for 16 years without trial. Cocaine trafficking, they've taken that story about how the Thai sailors were fined $4.3 million. And Adaka Boro Day, Ijaw youth demand restoration of democracy in rivers and removal of NDDC from TSA. Then Senate moves terrorism charges for all theft offenders and sets up 20-man committee on rising insecurity. So, the JAM, what happened?
National Orientation Agency has commended JAM for what it termed exceptional transparency and accountability. So the deputy director in a statement says that JAM's open acknowledgement of his lapses was a rare and commendable act of leadership, one that reflected a deep sense of institutional responsibility. Noted that the act of forthrightness is not only a testament to Professor Oloyede's personal values, but also aligned with the principles of National Values Character, NVC, and joins all public institutions to operate with the highest standards of transparency and accountability. But, however, emphasized the need for JAM to please go a step further, initiating remedial measures that directly address the concerns of candidates, parents, and other stakeholders affected by the errors. Yeah, so that's basically it, saying that that was a good thing that he did, you know, to acknowledge their mistake. So they commend him for that and commend JAM for that, but they're saying he must take the necessary next steps, of course, to make sure that this doesn't take the exams and it does not happen again. Although, as we know, many Nigerians are on two sides of the divide.
Because
some
of the
feel
impact
that,
on why.
yes,
Yeah.
some people feel that there's nothing to commend by that.
Okay, so that was what I felt when I was like, why are you applauding somebody for admitting they are wrong? Well, in Nigeria, where people rarely admit they are wrong, and we want to see more people admit they are wrong, so we'll quickly celebrate the person that admitted so that more people will be able to do that.
It's also about the reputation of the person admitting he's wrong. Several years of quality, meritorious, what's the English?
Yes.
Standard. And one error is what will mar the entire record because his 70s is close to retirement. This couldn't have happened. He's taking responsibility. It happened under his watch. And he said it was due to a partner that was, you know, providing some service to JAM that the Lagos
disappointed
failed. But he has come out to admit it. People that we are loading in our houses have, I don't want to mention some.
Let me take the story about ECOWAS, or do you have that story?
No, take it.
No.
All right. So, so this man, Mr. Moses Abiodun, had been in detention since 2009. And he now took the case to ECOWAS court to say that he's been detained for 16 years without trial, and that he's asking for the government to compensate him as well as release him. The court held, of course, they held it under the Article 17 of both the African Charter and Integrated Covenant of Civil and Political Right. And according to the court, this is in breach of Article 16 of the African Charter.
Why is his lawyer not filing a fundamental rights abuse process in Nigeria?
Maybe because they've tried and they said they should take it to ECOWAS
No, that's not
to
true.
bring it. So he said the
Sometimes
Nigerian
we
government
do
in a
frivolous
submission
cases.
before court denied the allegation. The government has questioned the authenticity of the remand warrant presented by the applicant and challenged the admissibility of the case. Long and short is this man has been in detention for 16 years. And according to him, he hasn't gotten
I was going to ask, like,
trial.
can an ordinary citizen get all the way to ECOWAS? How does he do that?
Yes.
Just,
But I'm wondering why leave local courts? If you have been detained for a week, your lawyer should file that. If over a period of time they move it, it continues.
Maybe that's what has
if you have the means to file it in ECOWAS court, you can.
All right, let me move on to our final paper for today. Vanguard, major headline. It's a special report, ways out of banditry insurgency by ex-general security experts. And then we have UTME glitches, OBS Equinsili, others worry over impact on students and parents. Sadly, we have a story of a girl that committed suicide after this, really sad. Bandits attack, abduct Kogi monarch from palace. Defections, we don't want Nigeria to become one-party state. That's from APC. 2027, APC, PDP, Labour Party involved in anti-Tinubu coalition. Pope Leo XIV invites Tinubu to inauguration in Rome. Inflation hits 23.71%. Benue records the highest food inflation. Benue food basket is recording over 50% inflation on food. There's obviously a challenge. That's all we can take on front page review for today.
I wanted to talk about the monarch that was abducted in Yagba in Kogi yesterday morning. And you will see the videos of the process of people. Well, armed men entered the palace and abducted this monarch. They said that they're doing everything to get him rescued. They've not reached out for a ransom. And that's where we are right now. I'm hoping that he's safe. And we don't have repetitions of what happened in Southwest another time with monarchs.
Okay, that's all we can take on front page review for today. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll continue with the topics, hot topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.